President Uhuru Kenyatta's March 2017 Gazette notice establishing the Kenya Space Agency appeared to usher in a new era for Kenyan scientists, but little has happened since. The agency was given an array of responsibilities that included coordinating space. Justice Kihara Kariuki, the man President Uhuru Kenyatta has tapped to be his chief legal advisor, has a pending case of alleged misconduct, which is being actively investigated by the Judicial Service Commission, JSC. 2 weeks before President Kenyatta nominated Justice Kariuki to take over from Professor Githu Muigai, the JSC had formed a special committee to look into the misconduct and insubordination allegations against the Court of Appeal judge and 3 of his colleagues Erastus Githinji, Koome and Fatuma Sichale. This followed the manner they handled the matter on the appointment of returning officers by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission hours before the repeat presidential election on October 26. Vetting. Interestingly, Judge Kariuki will become an automatic member of the JSC by virtue of his position once he is formally appointed as Attorney General after going through vetting by Parliament, the same body currently seized of the allegations against him. Since Justice Kariuki would have resigned as a judge, lawyer Nelson Harvey said JSC would not be in a position to pursue the matter further. The allegations against Justice Kariuki are likely to come up during his vetting by the National Assembly's Committee on Appointments. From the archives, a look at Justice Kihara Kariuki. Those are very serious integrity queries, but with our Parliament having forfeited its oversight role and instead become an extension of the executive, we do not foresee anything that would stop the judge from being confirmed for appointment, Mr. Harvey said. Returning officers. The allegations against Justice Kihara are contained in the petition that was filed by former Law Society of Kenya, LSK. CEO Apollo Mboya dated December 21, 2017 relating to the appointment of returning officers by the EB to oversee repeat polls. Read, EB returning officers illegal, High Court. In the petition, Mr. Mboya accused Justice Kariuki and his colleagues of insubordination, gross misconduct and/or misbehavior incompatible with the status of Judge of Court of Appeal for breach of Constitution, the oath of office and statutory provisions. The petition, among others, questions how Justice Kariuki was able to impanel a 3-judge bench of Justices Githinji, Koome and Sichale on a public holiday and without the authorization from the Chief Justice David Maraga. Justice Kihara Kariuki, without authorization by the Chief Justice, impaneled a bench of the Court of Appeal composed of Githinji, Koome and Sichale, and issued a court order, which undermined the authority of the Chief Justice as the head of judiciary, and was discriminatory to other litigants who have other urgent matters before the same court but has not been allocated a hearing date, the petition read. Expedited. Mr. Mboya also wants the judge to explain why he left out the Court of Appeal judges stationed in Nairobi and went for Justices Githinji, Koome and Sichale who are based in Kisumu, Malindi and Nyeri respectively. The petitioner had also questioned how the appeal was expedited and final ex parte orders given within minutes. President Kenyatta on Tuesday nominated Justice Kariuki to succeed Professor Muigai. Related activities, recommending national space policies and establishing centers of excellence in space science. But almost a year later, the president has not appointed a chairman of the board, meaning it cannot start operations. And so when scientists from about 40 countries met in Nairobi for the International Space Forum on Tuesday, Defense Cabinet Secretary, CS, Rachel Omamo could only enumerate the benefits the Nkowit Space Center will bring. Elections. According to Dr. John Kimani, the Kenya Space Agency lead scientist, there will be an operational body by June. Last year was a very busy year for the country. Most of the year was spent on electioneering. So, we were waiting for the political dust to settle down, Dr. Kimani, who was in charge of the National Space Secretariat that was disbanded to give way for the Kenya Space Agency, said. He added that after Mr. Kenyatta's team of cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries is complete, there will be more focus on state corporations. After that, the Defense CS will also appoint 3 independent members of the board, in consultation with the executive. Once we have that in place, then we will be ready to constitute and inaugurate the board. I can see that happening before June this year, Dr. Kimani said at his office at the Department of Defense headquarters. Agriculture. Dr. Kimani, a trainer at the Kenya Defense Forces Technical College, foresees a transformed Kenya once the space agency is in place. He noted that Kenya will focus on having satellites in the orbit that will help Kenyan authorities perform various applications. The most immediate application to be launched, he said, will relate to agriculture. Using space technology, we will be able to advise farmers about their soils, what needs to be added to their soils. Instead of doing the manual soil analysis, using space you can tell the type of soils that we have, what needs to be added, what can best grow in such soil, the 59-year-old PhD holder said. Specialists. He added that the same technology can be used in helping meteorologists predict the weather, assist scientists to find underground and surface water, help in treating patients using technological innovations, assist in urban planning among other functions. Mzamamo, speaking at Tuesday's event, was of the same opinion. Space technologies can provide effective solutions to the many problems of food security, provision of water and healthcare as well as job creation that African countries need. On matters space, there are few Kenyan specialists ready to further opportunities the government will provide, among them Dr. Kimani, Professor Paul Baki of Technical University of Kenya, TUK, and Professor Hunja Waitaka. Satellites. Professor Baki told the Sunday Nation that Kenya is a sleeping giant on matters space. We have not made use of our geographic location on the equator, because this is the best place to launch satellites into space. You need minimum energy to send it there. If you're off the equator, you must spend tons of fuel to put something into orbit, he said. This is an area where the government needs to find a partner to work with. Launch of satellites is big business and that alone can help us rake in billions of shillings, Professor Baki, 52, added. The scientist said Kenya can take advantage of the Italy-owned Luigi Broglio Space Center in Malindi. The center was built in the 1960s but has not been used to launch missiles for almost 3 decades. Benefits. He said last year's gazetting of the Kenya Space Agency was the finalization of years of brainstorming on how Kenya would handle issues relating to space. The same view is held by Dr. Kimani. We tabled the Kenya space policy documents to the cabinet for approval. We realized that if we went the route of the bill in Parliament it would have taken longer. So, we converted the bill into an executive order, he said. Professor Baki said if Kenya steps up its space program, it stands to clinch various deals. Already, there are many interest groups wanting to do things with us as Kenyans. But without a properly functional agency, there is very little room for engagement, he said.